This is we're live dance. I'm jamming out music in my head right now. Okay, well, hello everyone. Happy Friday. My name's Lewis May, and this is Riley Seaburg. We're super excited to come online across multiple channels on the intranet to share with everybody today a brief outline, sharing the most important or some of the important and valuable topics and points of our new online course, Build a Brand That Will Last for Decades. So let's just jam right into this thing. I think it's really important for everybody to wonder, like people are wondering, well, build a brand that lasts for decades. Who wants to do this sort of thing? So Riley, kick it off, man. What kind of people should be interested in this?
Hold on, I had to fix my mic again.
Oh,
no, we're good now. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and because more and more people in my audience aren't business owners, right? So like everybody I talk to doesn't own a business, and so when I go live on my Facebook page, like I still want my videos to be relevant, even if it's not about business, right? Even if you're not about business. So what we're talking about is how to build, like the title of the talk is how to build a brand, but what we're really saying is how to build a reputation that lasts for decades, right? And so how do you build a reputation that lasts for decades? Well, typically that's usually based on a lot of positivity, right? Like you got to do a lot of stuff to build something that lasts for decades, and you got to keep doing it. It takes a long time, right? So that's basically what this talk is about. Is like it's a framework for how to do that.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point. Is like, hey, I'm going to list a bunch of reasons of like who this could be for, or what type of people. But the bottom line is, we're all building a brand, whether we like it or not. It's just what kind of brand are you building? So what type of reputation are you building? Is it a positive one or a negative one? Is it multifaceted, or do people just know you as the plumber or the guy that does this or the gal that does that? So that's a lot of it. But obviously, when we built this course, it was in reference to how can we help business owners or marketers or people that are working for a company or working in a company or building a company, and how can we help them build a brand? So in that aspect, this webinar is for people who want to unite other people, because a brand helps to unite people into groups and teams and tribes and organizations. A brand is a way to help you achieve your dreams, because it's a great way to grow a company, and it gives you a lot of tools to do that. So the kind of people who need this are people who have maybe ran into some sort of plateau in their business building, where they have taken it so far and they feel like they're missing something to take it to the next level. This course is for people who want to build a really strong culture of positivity. They want to build a positive culture where their team, their employees, their partners can enjoy the life that they're living while working in this company. This course is for people that want to know, how do we make the tough decisions? Because a brand and a culture help you to formulate a framework to make decisions and make them in a consistent, congruent manner that builds on each other instead of breaks your brand down. So this brand is for people who have extremely high goals with their companies, that want to achieve something amazing and want to change the world. Building a brand is for leaders that want to be even better, because once again, it gives you a framework for all the things I've said, and it also gives you a framework for leadership. It allows you to remember what to say when you forgot to say, because your brand has been identified. This course is for people who want to unite the teams they already have and start to build a better culture, because you can build a brand with your team and make these decisions together, and that brings you together and unites you on a larger front than just charging after the almighty dollar. So this is a pretty important thing, and we really, really believe it. You know, we know and have experienced how valuable this is. So let's give an example. Like we've ran into a couple situations. I'd have numerous stories that I can tell of, like, simple little things that we did when we built a brand that gave us a tool for communication that allowed us to affect the minds and hearts of other people in a positive manner. So I still like the story that Riley tells about, going to a family function and talking with, one of his relatives. Had nothing to do with marketing. That person never wants marketing. But when Riley told that gentleman our mission statement, it lit him up. And it gave Riley the opportunity to continue talking about our company, and it gave Riley a reputation. That gentleman's never going to forget what Riley's doing, because Riley made an emotional connection with that person based on why we do what we do, not what we do and how we do it. So a brand is for people who want more opportunities, want to communicate who they are and what they do better, want to keep from boring the shit out of people, and just want to do better. So how do we do that? Let's just get right into it and kind of show a little bit of the course.
Yeah, I mean, let's give people a taste of what this is, because, like, the thing is you know, Lewis has been doing this for 20 years, some version of this. I've been doing this for not that long, and so basically, he has a lot of intuitive knowledge, right? And when we met each other, we were able to come together and bring our knowledge. So his intuitive knowledge and my kind of book learning, we brought it together and came up with a real framework that pretty much anybody else can understand. Where'd you go, Lewis?
I bumped the button on the side of my mouse and it kicked me right out.
So I was just saying that basically.
I heard that.
Yeah. So I think it's really cool because it's, I pay people to teach me how to build a brand, right? So this isn't something where we're coming up with it on the fly, and we're like, hey, maybe this works. Lewis has been doing some version of this for 20 years, and he also pays people to teach him how to build a brand, right? So we do this separately, personally, and we own a business together where we try to take that information and synthesize it and show you how to build a brand. So we're going to give you the Reader's Digest version of that in this video.
Riley, if you could go ahead and make me a presenter again, please.
Yes, sir.
Great. So this is what the course is, looks like, or at least the presentation part of the course. I use this really cool program called Prezi to build this thing out. This thing is jam-packed full of information. Number one, the first thing we talk about is just, what is a brand? How do you get one? So let's stop there for a second, because this is really important. And I make this mistake still, because people say the word branding much more often than they say, I'm building a brand, or help me with my brand, or anything like that. So brand is what is it? Isn't that a noun? I have a brand, right? But it's a really strange noun, because not many people know what it is. So we have to do a really good job of explaining that. And the number one thing is that building a brand is working on your business. So a great book, if you've never read it, E-Myth and E-Myth Revisited. E-Myth is probably 2 decades old at this point. I've read it long before I thought I'd really get hard into business. It was very interesting, and it just talks about the entrepreneurial myth. Hi, Dukas. And the entrepreneurial myth distinguishes between what it's like to be a owner-operator and what it's like to be a founder or a business in business development. So building a brand is working on your business, whereas branding is the act of sharing your brand or marketing your brand to the market. So branding is working in your business. So that's really important to distinguish. And I think that's also why a lot of people don't work to build a brand, because you're not going to make a dime while you're building your brand. You're not communicating it to anyone. It has nothing to do with any external activities. It's simply the act of thinking about the statements, ideas, and values that formulate everything else about you and your company.
Yeah, but it's more than that, right?
Oh, way more.
Yeah,
Because, come on.
Because it's like, it's not just the thinking. This is where most brands get caught up. Is it's not just the thinking. It's the doing of the thinking that you don't get credit for, right? So this is what Gary Vee talks about all the time. Like it's the actual action that you don't get a return on. So this is why the ROI conversation is always such a funny conversation, because you don't really get a return on branding. Like
Well, but then now you're moving into the terminology of branding, where it's the act of bringing things to the marketplace. So there is some crossover there too, because when you do an activity, you're still building a brand, because whatever the market's perception of that activity is going to be what they remember and how they recognize you and what they think of you, and that is a brand. So building a brand never ends. You can work on your business by thinking about the things of the brand, but then as you go and take part in the activity of branding and sharing that message with the marketplace, you are still building the brand too, because that's the activity, and it's the activity that is what shares the ideas or affects them too. So building a brand has to do with saying you're going to do something and then following through with it.
Yeah. Like it's I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing, because once it moves from words into actions, that's the hook. That's the nail that holds everything together, So it starts with all of these tools that we give you in this course, but it never ends. You keep doing it. And if you don't follow your values with the actions you take, then you'll just unbuild your brand. because you're not doing what it says, doing what you told everybody that you're going to do. So that's all section 1. I mean, we go deep into that. There's a lot of different topics, and we keep it very simple, but we try to give a lot of different examples, a couple different stories, a couple videos, some pictures, all just to help you understand of what are the different tools and things you can do to build a brand. So after that, I think it's really important that we all know why we're doing things. You know, in our business, I know we focus on this a lot, because if we're dealing with a customer and they're confused about what we're suggesting or what we're performing for them, and they don't understand it, I mean, they're not going to buy into it. They're not going to be active with it in creating or doing it with us. And they're not going to learn it and be able to do it on their own. So when we talk about the why of why we do a strategy or technique or a tool, why we're using a tool, that's really important. So that's important in this case as well. You know, you need to know why you want to build a brand. So there's a lot of reasons, but I mean, some of the simplest ones are, look at the leaders in any industry and compare them to everybody else in their industry. And the difference you're going to see is the leaders have a well-developed brand, and everybody else is still just talking about what they do. So that to me is enough. Is like, hey, you want to be successful, do the things that other people that are really successful do, and they all build a brand. So a lot of the first section 1 and section 2, we talk about personal brands, because it's a little bit easier to understand personal branding than it is to understand branding a company. So it's really easy to understand like brands from famous people, because famous people have a brand. If you're a celebrity, you have a brand. And celebrities are masters at building brands, keeping brands, and they're really good at changing their own personal brand as well. They're also really good at, they also are very, very susceptible to accidental changes in their brand, where public perception may or may not be correct, but their brand changes because of it. So in section 2, you know, it's all about why you should want a brand. The reasons are numerous, because the successful people and companies do it, because it helps attract the right type of customers to you so that you can serve them the best, because it attracts the right kind of partners and team members and employees to you so that you can build an amazing culture based on people who believe in similar ideas, statements, and values. And it allows for massive communication above and beyond what you do, because really what is a brand? It's a personality of a company. People like people, and people really like people with awesome personalities. So give your company an awesome personality and people will like that too. Section 3 is where we go into actually building the brand. So section 3 contains 4 parts to it, and I'm going to review those real quickly because they're pretty interesting. So section 3 is going to go over the core foundation of a brand, which is going to be purpose, mastery, your whys, and then your intellectual property. In each one of those, you know, your purpose, we're going to go deep into. With your purpose, we're going to go deep into your mission statement, which is a company, to us as a company facing set that helps the leadership and the employees make decisions. So it keeps you on track, and it's basically a goal of how you want to affect every person involved in your company. So that includes, why am I doing this and how am I doing this for the leaders? Why am I doing this and how am I going to do it for the employees? How do I want to affect, what type of positive effect do I want to have on my clients? And then number 4 of your mission statement is, what is this going to do for the community? So that's a really good document to just have so that you can remember. And once again, it's going to change because all of this stuff is meant to adapt and grow as you grow and as the economy and the world changes. You know, what's relevant today what's relevant 10 years ago is not relevant today because the world is changing and the world's changing fast. So all of this gives you a framework and a structure for keeping up to date as well. The other part of the purpose column is your core values. So your company core values are very, very important, probably the most important part of this entire brand. It's the beginning foundation, and you use your values to make decisions now and forever. You use your values to make decisions on who you bring in with your company. You use your values on how you build your products or services, and then how you deliver them to the client. Core values are used for every decision that you make. They're the guiding light for your entire company and brand. And then the last part of the column, the purpose of your company, is the massive transformative purpose. And this is just a wildly, what am I looking for? A statement that seems almost impossible. It's a statement that says, I know all we do is, mow people's lawns and rake up the debris, but there's a bigger reason that I do this, because I know what kind of joy it brings my clients and the neighborhoods when I clean up the yards, and da 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 da. So it's a world-changing statement of how you're making the world and the community a better place, but attached to what you do. So that's the purpose. There's 3 other parts. You have the column of mastery. So that's just quickly, it's a statement of mastery or a market positioning statement. So this is a real important way to understand what differentiates you between everybody else in your market. Then you have your whys. Some people don't think this is important, others do. There's some disagreements in marketing on how this is done and how you build a brand. We tend to think that the why is very important. I know that Riley and I hold dear to our why because it's what lets us do this day in and day out. So your whys are important because it lets you know why you're doing this, and it reminds yourself why you're doing it, so that when times get tough and hard decisions have to get made, or you just don't want to do it because your motivation is down, you can remember that you're doing this for a bigger reason than just to fill your bank account full of money. That there's a purpose and a why that you get up every day. And then we also want to know why your company is doing this. So people have their personal whys, the leadership and the leadership team for the company has their own personal whys, and then the company puts all of that together and forms a company why. And then the next part of this is really diving deep into, what does your company do? What are the products or services that you deliver? And then how are you proving to the marketplace and consistently delivering a high level of product or service? And the way to do that is create systems and strategies and processes. And the best way to do that is, take some good ones and make them even better and turn them into intellectual property. And that's the 4th part of building a strong foundation for a brand. So after that, literally I was just talking about that for 10 minutes there. So this 3rd section here, the third video, it's deep. This is not a quick fix to, just do this stuff and forget about it and take care of all your problems. This is a framework for achieving high levels of success. And if you know anything about achieving a high level of success on anything, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So
that's the
you know, that would be the third video. We're going to go through those, and that still leaves the fourth video, which is strengthening the foundation. In which case, I'll just quickly review what's in there. We get into your market and market segmentation, avatar development, persona journey, and perceived market versus blue ocean market.
So hold on.
And number 6.
Let's stop talking about the content and talk about why it's
Okay.
important to know it.
Yeah. And say what? I'm sorry?
Talk about why it's important to know it.
Well, I mean, your market is very important. Up until this point, we've been building a foundation that's all about you. Well, that doesn't do any good, because we need to know who you're serving, and you need to make some hard decisions about how you're going to communicate to them. But before you can decide how you're going to communicate to them, you need to figure out who they are, because everybody likes to learn differently, and everybody has different needs and desires and wants in their lives. And branding can help you get all of those things, but to get those things, you have to serve a lot of people, and you have to figure out who you're going to serve. The secret to making a ton of money is helping a bunch of other people achieve their goals and dreams. So you need to figure out who those people are and how you're going to talk to them. And that's dealt with in the market, where we segment the market out and then determine from there who is in that market segment. So you're essentially trying to, instead of, it's super important, because a general statement falls on deaf ears. So when marketing and communicating, we want to speak to a person, not to a group. And there's some theories in business that we agree with, that to be really successful, you want to identify the smallest viable market that will allow you to reach the financial goals that you want to reach. The reason you want a smallest viable market is because the smaller your market, the more similar each of the audience members are. And the more similar they are, the more each one of them is going to feel like you're speaking directly to them when you're communicating during your branding and your marketing. So I can't say any one point of this entire brand process development strategy is more important than the others, because leave out the market segmentation step of your branding, and I mean, it's worthless. So that's why you need that part. The messaging is then, now that you've identified your market, step 6 is messaging. How do we talk to that market? So that's pretty important, self-explanatory. That's all video 4 right there. So, we're deep into hours and hours, and we're, this course is amazing, but it's hard. The course is hours and hours of this, and it's just information. We do this for our clients. So when our clients hire us, we give and divulge all of this information, but then we also sit with them and our entire team and ask them a series of questions that then bring this information out, so that we can formulate it into this system and create these statements, ideas, and values in a way that makes sense and is fun to read and fun to see, fun to say. So that's that part. So then we go into section 5. We have a couple more things. We get into the actual visual corporate identity of your company. So section 5 talks about step 7 and 8 of our branding course or our branding process, our brand development process. And we haven't even talked about what your company looks like as far as logo, colors, and fonts. So step 7 is where we get into that and we start to discuss those things. We have strategies on how to differentiate yourself from others. You know, there's lots of rules in graphic design about, you know, what your logo has to be and what it can and can't do, what it can and can't be. There's different theories on colors and color schemes. You know, are you trying to fit into the market, or are you trying to differentiate yourself from the market? Do you want to look like everybody else? I mean, there might be a couple times where a company wants to do that. Like if you're going to try to ride the coattails of a really successful brand, but Riley and I are probably never going to recommend that. We're always, you know, generally looking at differentiation and disruptiveness. You know, what are you doing in the market to disrupt it and stand out and find the flaws of the rest of the world and capitalize on other people's mistakes in brand and service. So when you identify those things, you can come up with strategies to look like you're doing that as well. So that's why corporate visual identity is step number 7 in this whole thing out of 8 steps, is because how do you know what your company should look like when you don't even know what your company is?
Yeah, I think too many people make the mistake of doing their visual identity first. And I know a lot of people approach me with the idea of like what they want their brand to look like. And you know, that's cool, but that's only
it's fun.
I mean, that's one layer of a multi-dimensional figure that you're talking about, which is, you know, something that you're hoping is going to provide you money for the rest of your life. Like what it looks like is pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, and especially to yourself.
Yeah.
Like do you want a brand that looks great to you but doesn't sell to anybody? Or would you rather have a brand that you kind of don't like, but everybody else loves and buys a ton of? You know, there's usually a happy medium in there, but we should probably concern ourselves with market perception of how your company looks more so than how it makes you personally feel. And the other thing is, you know, I mean, you got to start out with something. So I guess our opinion would be, hey, go ahead and name your company, go ahead and get a logo done, but don't spend a lot of time on it and don't spend a lot of money on it. You know, get a logo so you can slap it on a business card and then get out there and sell and build your brand so that you can revisit that after you've done a significant amount of brand development. Then you can really nail down what and why your logo and color scheme and fonts should look the way you decide. And that's in section 5, the 5th video of this entire course. And then part 8 of the brand development process is dealing with the client perspective. So it's an even farther delve into not just market perception and how the market reacts to your statements, but really down to a single person and how you interact with people with your brand. So things like your elevator speech, your what's in it for me statements, you know, your what if you don't use me statements, different things like that. So that's the course. And then number 6 is, you know, we have to give you a little bit extra of this because now you do all this work. Now I've just shared with a lot of information. And if you haven't done this before, and then you were to do it, the next question you're going to have is, what do I do with all of this stuff? And so that's what section 6 is I'm going to give you a bonus, which is how do you take this right now and start to use it in a way that could drive some traffic and drive some new business. And then we're going to give examples overall of all the different ways that you take this information that's now been made into a decision and been stamped, you know, this is the company's brand, and what do you do with it? So that's section 6.
So it sounds like the bonus is the bonus part, the part that you're throwing in at the end isn't that the part that people sell courses on?
Yeah, everybody really just skips all of this stuff and goes right into things that, you know, they're trying to convince you are going to make sales. Because short-sightedness says, skip this over, we need to make money. And everybody needs to make money. So that's not the first part of that is wrong. Don't skip over this. But the second part, that, like what you said, Riley, that would be the part which is effective strategies for branding or marketing, and actually bringing these messages out to the public in an attempt to bring in new business. So yeah, most marketing, online marketing courses are just that. They are, hey, do this in an attempt to go out there and bring in new business. The reason we don't do that is because if you didn't do this part first, you're basically looking at a 1 to 10 to a 1 to 100th of the effectiveness of those marketing strategies without a fully developed brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the people that go to business school understand.
Yeah, but a lot of them still don't even do it because it's hard.
Yeah,
and it takes
hard. And, I mean, most of them that go to business school, they go and get jobs, right?
Yeah. So you don't hop out of business school and then, you know, start your own company. You go work for corporate America because that's what corporate America wants. So building a brand is an amazing process. It's very, very, it's a self-discovery process. So it's uncomfortable. It's not easy. It's a lot of questions that you won't know the answer to right away. It's a lot of creative thinking. You know, it's a lot of empathy and understanding that takes a lot of deep thinking, and it's a lot easier with a team, but it can be done all by yourself. And when you put these things on paper and make a legitimate attempt to identify who you are and why you do what you do, and then the same thing for your company, the world changes to you because nobody cares what we do, because it's just not how people work. So building a brand gives you the opportunity to have an emotional connection with your consumers, with your customers and your prospects in a way that lets them become attached and see a lot more value in doing business with you because of who you are as a person. So you can tell we're believers of this. So from here, Riley.
I agree. I like it.
We've shared what this is, who this is for. We've shared what you're going to learn. We've shared a lot of the benefits of how this can help your company grow.
Hopefully this presentation was valuable in and of itself, right? Like, I know I just saw Austin tagged Janice Haley, so like it seemed like this conversation is a little relevant, and so I like to make sure that whenever we go live, like we're having a real conversation. You know, we're not.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, this was, I mean, I think we're getting better and better at describing the key points of why to do this. The reason we did this is because we ran into a roadblock. You know, we wanted to create messages that were going to share our clients' message in a positive manner that helped grow their business. And we ran into a smack dab into the wall of China, and it stopped us. And we didn't know what to do because we had questions that people wanted answers to, and we didn't know the answers to them. So we had to back off. We took about a year to develop this process, and then we started to use it. And when we did, the results were amazing. You know, the results went from glazed over eyes to connections and questions and engagement. And that's what you want. That's what you need. That's what you grow a brand. That's how you grow a brand. And all you need is 1,000 raving fans. And there's no way to get a raving fan without building a brand.
And it starts with one, right? Like it's one.
Yeah, this is done one person at a time. You can't rush through that process. So, Riley, what's the next step here? How do people, if people want more of this, what do they do?
So yeah, right now we have a very temporary landing page set up to sell our course. It's branding-course.hammersportmarketing.com. Branding-course.hammersportmarketing.com. If you're not interested in a course and you're just ready to do business with us, because we do have a team of 12 people, so we are a full service agency as well. You can feel free to head on over to hammersportmarketing.com, and you can also get in touch with us on social media. Feel free to send Lewis or I an email, info@hammersportmarketing.com, and yeah, we'll do what we can to help you out. And we also do. Here's something that Pat. Here's a shout out to you. Our free marketing audit. So we we have an offer, and basically we give anybody who is wary of us a free marketing audit, where we just have a Zoom call conversation, talk for an hour about your business, your marketing issues, and we see what's going on. And we don't try to sell you. We just say, hey, these are probably some issues. You might want to get these fixed. And if you don't have any issues, then we congratulate you. And we
ask if you can come and help us do that and help other people.
So like we're all about collaboration and trying to move forward together. So whether that means you become a client of ours, or it's some type of partnership or whatever, we're here for you.
Yeah, the bottom line is we have some significant values that we really stand hard behind. They help us to achieve what we achieve, and do the right thing for our clients. One of those values is teamwork, and we really believe that teamwork gives us the upper hand. And so when you become a client of us and you buy our products or services, you become part of our team and we become part of yours. So
also the course comes with a free marketing call with the team.
So yeah, that's all we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lewis. This was Riley. We're Hammer Sport Marketing.